All discussions and interactions are meant for educational and entertainment purposes only. They're not intended to breach the ATA Code of Conduct, single out any student or educator, or diminish professional integrity in any way.
Professional development with Mr. Drover. Gun half dropping in your pocket when we come over. Keep it live. Good development with Mr. Drover. Bun cars.
Mitch Catacutan. This is for everyone listening, for the tens of people that are listening right now, that will listen. This is my first mentor teacher, so we can call it cooperating teacher, practicum teacher. There's a whole bunch of names for it depending where you are. But I guess my first footsteps into education was with this man right here. So why don't you introduce yourself? Where you're at right now, sort of the short story, how you got here, and then maybe we can talk and break apart that down as we, have the conversation.
All right. My name is Mitch Catacutan, and so artist there. So I'm currently at the Shamrock's School in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I teach grades 7-8. So I teach them math, science, social, ELA, French, art, and health. And I just like a fourth year there, and a previous to that, I spent 8 years at Glenlawn, which is a high school here in Winnipeg, and I taught math, science, and phys ed there. And I guess our connection is that I was a year first, I guess, a collaborating teacher or whatever, and you are on my first and still our only student teacher I've ever had. So that's our.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you're my first and only. And I remembered when they asked me if I wanted to have a student teacher. I looked around because there's Harder and a Wolf and the rest of the other phys ed staff up in there for years. I looked around and went like, me? Yeah, like, yeah. Do you want to student teacher? Like, okay, let's do it, like that. So. Yeah, so you're my first. I haven't had one ever since. So yeah.
Was that so what year of teaching were you when you had me as a student teacher?
That was probably my sixth, probably fifth year the school, my sixth year overall.
Okay, so
teaching.
I guess now I'm where you were back then.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It's so cool. I like the idea of growth. And I talked to one of my buddies who got me into podcasting, and I was telling him, man, when you're a teacher and you go to a different building or you're just starting out, you're an accumulation of all the other teachers that you've worked with, that you have mentorship with, because there's always a little bit of them that comes with you. And like, for starters, like, I've stole your I'll call you Batman line every year, right? I'll tell it, hey, I don't care what you want to be called. If you have a nickname or something, if you want to be called Batman, I'll call you Batman. Literally in the same, like, I guess, rhythm as you say it. Like, that's just something I've taken from you because you're so good with the relationship aspect of teaching, and that's what I like pulled in a lot from you. But yeah, no, now I'm sort of in the other in the driver's seat right now in terms of that student teacher relationship. I've had 4 student teachers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it was actually interesting because they wanted me to take on a student teacher when I moved. I worked in Fort McMurray for 3 years, 3 full teaching years, and then a little bit of a term when I first graduated. And what a wild, like, you can ask about that later, but that was a really interesting demographic to work with.
Okay.
But I didn't get a student teacher then because there's not a lot of teachers there. But as soon as I moved to Calgary and like Calgary area, they're like, you want a student teacher? Come on. We're trying to get rid of them. I was like, when I saw the opportunity to take a student teacher, I thought, I was like, oh, this is a great way for me to just like refresh my own practice, to like, just like, because sometimes you get like a little like set in your ways or sedentary, or you don't have a spark after a little bit, and then you want something to reinvigorate you. And I was like, what better way to like be on top of my game again and like sort of just refresh myself than to have someone that's looking at me constantly to try to learn how to do what I'm doing. Did you have a similar thought process when you had me?
I think with you, that was getting comfortable as a being
That's
a
the word,
me,
comfortable.
right? Yeah, I was getting comfortable. So I wanted to show you that you could still have fun with your kids, uh, and get that learning done at the same time. Then he talked about earlier about the a relationship building, and so having fun with your kids, and that was building a relationships with them. So I took time to do that, and not a lot of teachers did. So I wanted to show you that it was okay to get sidetracked. It's okay to like do take, uh, you see something on the weekend, you thought it was cool, try it out. Then if it doesn't work, then let's figure out why it didn't work. Let's make it a better, or do what everyone against. So, um, maybe it wasn't as much like the refreshing as that much as just showing you my growth and how I got comfortable into my teaching style, or just my style of being in a classroom and just even around kids.
Right. That's like something I've definitely taken to heart. Like as when I moved to Fort Mac and I was working with a lot of lower academic students, I guess the equivalent of consumer math or lower
Yeah.
kids that I just needed to keep in the classroom or just come to the classroom. The number one goal is to get them at school. And I was like, okay, like all the academics that I've like taught, like it really means nothing unless I have a relationship with these kids. So that's where I leaned in. I leaned in on what you were talking about. I remember one of the first classes I had with you, probably one of those practicum Mondays. You had a grade 9 science class, I think it was,
Mhm.
and you spent probably a good 15 minutes of that class just asking what everyone did on the weekend.
Yeah. So we still do that today. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. It made me realize that you could there's a lot of inefficiencies when you're teaching. Like you have right now, my grade 7 blocks are 90 minutes,
Mhm.
which is wild.
It's a lot of
But
fun.
if you are, and I find maybe I'll get your opinion, so I stop yapping that much. But I think 90 minutes is like so much time, and some new teachers get really stressed out that they have to get through whatever thing they had to get through,
Mhm.
that they don't realize that you could really teach all that curriculum in 20 minutes. But the idea is that you don't have the perfect set of listeners. You're not teaching to adults.
Mhm.
So you have to find a way to put those 20 minutes embedded in that 90-minute block in a way that's more effective. So I don't know. What is your take on that, I guess?
Oh, so like um I try to read the room that day. If they're able to go, like I got my kids all day, every day, basically, right? And then
That's so cool.
so
Yeah.
um I get, so I get plan of like a math and the harder stuff in the morning, and then the afternoon is the group work, the work periods, all that stuff. And then when I'm in that, like a moment of, okay, so did I transition over to science? Then I can kind of read the room as like, how can I teach this today? Like, are they able to listen to me for 20 minutes? Or if they can't, can I get them to talk to each other for 15 minutes? Yeah. And then, um, if I went back to high school now, we have those 75 minute blocks that would have probably like a 15, maybe 20 minutes lesson a plan, and then give them plenty of time to work with and answer questions. Like often I would teach of like an hour and then give them like 5 or 10 minutes to work on a work. Whereas like I could have just taught it in a faster amount or just like been um simplified a lesson a little bit and then have them I'll play around with it a little bit more. If so that makes sense.
Almost like flip that like hour teaching, 15-minute work time to 15 minutes teaching,
Yeah.
hour work time.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that like for me anyway, that we like teachers always talk about workload, right? And I find when you do that, like it lessens your workload as well, and it gets the kids to talk to each other.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where the real learning happens a lot, right? Have you like do you feel that it took a couple of years in your teaching career to get comfortable doing that? Like, I know new teachers sort of are apprehensive to get away from the projector. That's what I found.
Um, it really depends. So I was really felt lucky at Glenlawn. My admin was hey, so we're not the curriculum police, and then still like right away, okay, cool. I don't have to teach everything, I guess. And then they wanted us to try different things as well to try having like projects, more cross curricular stuff, and then
Mm-hmm.
like that allowed me to really try a few things out. I failed a lot, and then so that's how I got into my kind of like where I was when he got to me. I didn't have all my routines down perfectly. They didn't see um that much more than I dared to ahead of me, right? And then it took a little while to get there.
Yeah, I think it always does, right?
Mhm.
Like you said, it's like trying and failing a couple times till you realize what sticks. And the annoying part is when you do it for so long, you had like something really down pat that works, and then you get a new group of kiddos, and you're like, okay, never mind, that doesn't work. I got to do this. You sort of you're there. It's leadership through service, almost as a teacher, right?
Mhm.
I want to go back to like Glen Lawn. And I'll do this like an open-ended question so
Mhm.
you can answer it any
Sure.
way you want, because I am curious. Um, like, what was it like having a student teacher? And I guess because I'm your only one, what was it like having me as a student
Um,
teacher?
it was exciting to like I have my basketball team and I have my a basketball team running up the floor quickly and I can kind of mold them to how I think a basketball should be played, right? And then so with you, I was hoping that I can just teach you to just be yourself, play that, and then have fun with kids as well. So whatever I could do to help you build a relationship with kids. What had scared, what I was worried about was if you were bad, how would I react to that? Yeah, and then so, um, we had the conversation. I alluded to it earlier. Like at that time, you were really focused on running, and it that showed in your planning. Still, that was a hard conversation to have with it. You as probably one of the first times in my career, and which I was like, hey, I'm not sure you should do it like this kind of thing. That's all right. And then so yeah, that was um like, it was scary to kind of that they at the time have that conversation with you, but like I just I knew that I your heart was in the right place in front of the kids, and then still once you learned your craft, like I knew that you would be awesome. Yeah, and then you just had to focus on learning your craft. Then and at that time, you weren't focused on that quite yet. It looks like and it sounds that like that you have moved over, and then you're doing some great stuff over there. So, uh, it was a really exciting. Uh, it was cool to have someone who was kind of like me in a way. Is that right? A very versatile and what that we can do that. And then I could always talk about like the Marvel, Star Wars, this or that. We could always
Yeah.
geek out on things as well. So that was just super cool to have a student teacher who I didn't mind having around. Like it wasn't. Like I've seen some people which like collaborating teacher like is hiding from them, right? Like okay, that person is annoying me, right? I'm like, oh well, that's too bad, right? Then with you, like it was cool to just to have you around like that. So yeah, did you're just a good dude.
I think I appreciate that, and I do appreciate the hard conversations that you had to have with me, and I believe me, there is. I think I've almost made it like a saying that goes beyond like the context that you gave it to me in. But I remember one time you were talking about like, oh, like why don't you stay and help organize the PE equipment room or something like that. And first, like at that point, I was like when I was there at the time, I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, like the day is over. Like I have other responsibilities. Like I have to train. I have to go to sport check, all this stuff. And that was like one of those grumbling things, ride home, like, sort of uh, talk like that. And then I remember during COVID, I had to make like some video lessons, right? About the science stuff that we're doing. And I understood that like some teachers were just doing like PowerPoints and just like very low skill effort, just put it on there. Okay, kids, review this. And I had my gaming PC out at the time, and I had my webcam because I was streaming with my buddies on Discord. And I was like, you know what? Like before I finish for the day, like, I should clean the equipment room. So in a sense, and I started like working on like tidying up my workspace and like cleaning up everything that I needed to do. And then I realized that I have all the equipment to do an amazing thing. And I was like, I don't have to just do the bare minimum here. I can do something that is 100% Mr. Drover. And so I spent, I think, like 4.5 hours like that night making my first planning and making my first video lesson. And it was amazing. Like I was so pumped about it that I was like sharing with people, and I took that to heart. And there's a lot of times here where I'm super tired or I'm exhausted, and I'm like, okay, I just need to stay a little bit longer, because a little bit longer can go a long way in making the next day really easy.
Absolutely.
And sort of that's the lesson I took
Mhm.
from that. I thank you for doing that, and doing those hard conversations to I guess another adult is scary enough, but like I guess with students too, um, that experience, because you said it was sort of like the first time you like the feeling of like that confrontation, like it's like, oh, it's an uncomfortable conversation to have. Um, have you gained sort of like a skill set because of that experience that you found helpful throughout your teaching career?
They used to that like with my coaching as well, right? And it's like understanding and helping that person understand that what I'm saying is to help you get better. That and it isn't about me being I think you should do this. It's about um just helping that person be the best version of that they are. Then just having then knowing like I I knew when talking to you that like I that like it's probably not what you want to hear at the time, but something that you needed to hear at the time. And if I had to be the a bad guy, like you said, the rumblings on the car ride home afterwards, like that's who it had to be, right? Then does that
Yeah.
that's kind of like the same a way I am with my players is Wells. They're like, and like having that experience, telling that to someone who I work, very close to was a very valuable to me, 100%.
Yeah, because I get the feeling of like saying what a person needs to hear rather than what they want to hear. I think I know because I know your intentions are good. Um, when I take that when I'm dealing with parents, I like parent teacher interview or something like that. It's almost like you need to what you have to communicate, and the way you're communicating is in the right place. Like it's for the benefit of the student, but you still almost have that fight or flight response. Like you're prepping for almost a confrontation. And I think what I've found throughout throughout my career with dealing with parents that I have gotten better at it because I've had that exposure to having uncomfortable conversations. And I guess what I was asking initially was like that confrontation that we initially had when I was a student teacher um, was the feeling that you had because you knew you had good intentions, but it's almost like a skill set to deploy that good intention talk. Um, like that has benefited you when you're talking to athletes and like making those hard decisions, like just
It's
practice.
like athletes and also the parents as well. Like parents of athletes can be kind of crazy as well, right? Like, why aren't you playing my son and daughter? So,
Right.
there's just good a practice to have, and yes, like you don't get a lot of the practice the first days. Then when you have to have those hard conversations. I remember, like I was talking to harder about it for about a day and a half, right? Because I wanted to make sure that I didn't want to hurt your feelings, that but also I want to I'll let you on. I know that this is the way to be better, right? And then I yeah, they and to this day when I have a hard or have to have a hard conversation with someone, I'm still chatting with somebody else up before I hate. What do you think about of this? So even the preparation of that is that well, like making sure I have my bases um, covered and just rehearsing um how I want to come off as, I guess.
Right. Yeah. You never want to go in with the first draft. That's what I find. And you always sometimes it is really important to get another person's opinion. So like you can always check yourself like, oh, like, is there a fair point there? Or am I over going too far on this end, too far on that end? And that's the awesome part about teaching because you have such amazing colleagues around
Yeah,
you all the
I've
time,
been
right?
very fortunate. Yeah, absolutely.
Working with little kids, like the littles, I guess
Yeah,
7 and 8,
yeah.
right? That's what you said. So it's nice that you get to work with that age group all day long. Because I see my grade sevens only one block
Okay.
a day, and then they go to their ELA's teacher. So it's I guess closer to like the high school model. Um, but in terms of the difference, I guess let's say feeling, mental workload, enjoyment compared to high school, how is it? What do
Well,
you prefer?
I prefer um definitely high school. Yeah. Um, a more adult to like conversations. Um, Coaching sports is better there as well. A building's bigger. Gym is a bigger. I just didn't find I like go with like I just saying, like saying what kids or saying what people need to hear. The staminates aren't ready to hear that stuff yet. Even something like a very simple is like, I'm sorry, you're not good at this, right? Because everyone's supposed to get every that thing, and I'll like
Yeah.
half my students, actually over half my students don't even make their own lunches. Yeah, so they're like I can't even a
Yeah.
problem solve what how they have to eat. So I like the high school students because yeah, they're ready to have conversations. Like um they're looking to get a job somewhere. Then I've worked in many fields. Like they usually ask, say, uh, where can you make the most money? What is the funnest work and like that. I would always say, I look for something with a good perk. If you like perks, all right. That would talk about.
Yeah.
They always had a friend that worked at a sporting store, like a sport checker to foot a locker to get discounts on shoes that I or if you want to like discount on food, like work at McDonald's, you get half the price after that. Just things like that. So it'd be fun to have those kinds of conversations. Um, Kids that learn how to drive. That they find that um the older kids are just uh I know the more to find this socialize with because I can be a little bit the more of myself, I guess.
Right. I guess you don't have to be so on guard to filter yourself every now,
Yeah.
like all the time. But I guess like the kiddos, they just need different parts of you,
Yeah.
right? Just different supports of you. So, and then the high school people, as you were saying, the students, they need all of that. And then the middle school students, I think, need more reassurance. I guess like in the middle school, like you're closer to the age of
Hmm.
their parents, right? So it's almost more of a parental relationship rather than like sort of a coworker relationship.
Yeah.
My high school kids, we're doing a bunch of film study stuff here, and like we're basically a team when we're making a film or we're making the news. I'm just their boss sort of thing. And like they're just asking me for advice when they need it. Whereas I have to really facilitate for my grade sevens.
Yeah, I think I find with them. It's also about like having them like with us. We're talking about how do we be kind to others, and then like how can we how can we be kinder to others? Like, people always they should be kind to others, and so we're like, hey, how can we be more kind to others? That we talk about like
Yeah.
in our assembly the other day, someone was asked if they were a Swiftie, and then a person's like, yeah, I'm a Swiftie, and then a, a bunch of the younger kids like boo boo boo, and then I'm like
No.
going after the assembly. I go back to my class. I talk to my um classroom about that. I'm like, hey, why are people not booing out there? And then people stay there. I think that Taylor Swift is overrated, or they don't like her, blah blah blah. And then I would I'll throw out, why are we making fun of people for liking something? That I'm like, oh, what do you like? 'Cause that was like soccer. I'm like, oh, boo soccer, boo. Anyone who likes soccer, boo them, blah blah blah. Yeah. Oh, what do you like? A piano, boo piano. Yeah, and then sometimes like, imagine you getting hate for liking what you like. Does that make sense?
Mm-mm.
And they're like, yeah. And
Not at
they're
all.
like,
Yeah.
we should stop people from the booing. Okay, that. And then the other day, um, somebody booed somebody else, and say another kid would, hey, don't boo, so we don't have to boo like that, right? And then so um they to find with them because I don't want them because I keep saying I'm like I don't want you to get a punched in the face. They gotta high school apart, right?
I've said
Yeah,
that
because
to
you
kids.
can't say this or
Yeah.
that if you say it, it's out in the a universe, and I'm like, I'm just telling you not to say it because I don't want you to get that punched in the face. So, yeah, because somebody will hear what you say and they won't think that you're joking or they don't know. So yeah, so they find with this 7/8 is a lot of like they got that as well.
Yeah, I find what like I like what you're saying with that. Oh, you're gonna because I've literally said that same thing. I was like, hey, I don't want like especially
Yeah,
to any age group really. Like I don't want you saying the wrong thing and you getting hurt for it. And I think that flips the conversation to be like, I'm not disciplining you
mm,
for the sake of disciplining you. I'm disciplining
yes,
you to help you,
mm,
right, with the social aspect of it. Um, Now maybe like a more of like a theory or like a psyche about this because I always like getting into people's minds about this, especially with my middle school students. Why do you think middle school students have that need to boo something like they don't like, or is it an insecurity, do you think, or is it some sort of like hierarchy that they're trying to like get up? Why do you think a kid is prone to pushing someone else
okay.
down?
So when kids hear like okay like someone that likes soccer, but if I don't like soccer, soccer sucks. So anything I don't like that it's sucks. Yeah, so I think a lot of kids that I'll think along of those lines like whatever I like is the best. They often get
Mm.
um kids to ask me, oh, is it a Ronaldo or a Messi? Then if you whoever you say, someone's booing you, right? Yeah, and then so like, why can't it be
Right.
a one or the other? Like, so if it's a Ronaldo, like a Messi could also still be good. That I'm just saying that I would rather choose that. So
Right.
I think it's because they don't like it, and then it's not cool if they don't like it. But if they like it, it's really cool.
It's really like black and white for them a lot of times. It's like I've one theory I've heard is that like when you admit to something that something's just as cool as what you like, it in your head it kind of makes it feel less special, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to sort of preserve that specialness. So you try to push people down so you can go it up. It's like you're trying to swim, you're treading water, and the easiest way to get your head
Yeah,
above water is to push someone else down. Um, my Gillowitz told me that one
yeah,
actually
that's
when I was in sixth grade. Kids, middle school is a whole bunch of things. Hey, like I find it. I've never been more exhausted in my life dealing with them, but I've also never laughed more in my life dealing with middle school kids, especially some of their
oh,
slang now
yeah,
is
they
hilarious.
hate it when I try to use any sort of slang. Yeah, like last
Yeah.
time I said us or app in my room, they're like, no, stop. I'm like, you seriously want me to stop? Like, yeah, you can't say that at all. I'm like, okay, well then there's some words that you guys can't say that then if I'm not gonna be able to say some stuff, yeah.
No, that's a good one. Yeah, no, I find if I pick up their slang too much, they just end
Mm.
up stop using it. So if I really want them to like stop using it, I
Oh,
just make it uncool myself. Uh, that yeah, they're really cool and like I don't know, like me switching schools. I'm glad that I'm staying in the same age group, but I am still I like right now like this school is a little weirdly composited. I'm at a school in like 40 minutes north of
okay.
Calgary, so it's like a rural town. It's a farming town, and it's crazy because some students on Fridays they're like, "Oh, I won't be there." I'm like, "Oh, why?" They're like, "I have a competition." I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" It's like wrangling goats, like
Yeah.
goat tying, like and like they, but that's their thing, man, and they are so good at it. and like they'll like show me videos on their
Yeah.
phone afterwards about them doing it. And I'm like, man, this is like the Twilight Zone, but this is so cool that it's so normalized and they're so pumped for it. It really it's not something you would see in Winnipeg, I don't find. Like it's interesting when I've like been jumping around.
When did it click off for you? Like, when did you go all in?
So April 24th, graduated, finished my practicum, did whatever. Jen signed me off, and that was great. And I got a job starting May 1st in Fort McMurray. I didn't know what I was doing, man. I was teaching consumer math, and then I was teaching what's called Science 10-4. And in Alberta, think consumer math, but like one step down
Okay.
for science. So it's like kids with disabilities, or kids that have like extreme behavior issues, maybe drug issues, stuff like that. And I was teaching, and I had no idea what I was doing, man. But I was sort of away from everyone. I was away from every distraction that I could lock in to this slang, right? And I just focused like wholeheartedly on trying to do the absolute best I could be. And like it paid off. I got a contract afterwards to continue, a probationary contract for the September. So I came home, did my running thing with my boys, ran around a bit and competed a bit, and then got my first apartment in Fort Mac. Taught that whole year. I was teaching Science 10, and still didn't click really. Like I was still like just struggling, like getting PowerPoint slides from someone else and like just trying to follow the curriculum. I realized that kids didn't listen as much as I thought they would. So like you have a plan, you have it set up. You're like, okay, let's get this done. And then kids are leaving my classroom as I'm lecturing. And I'm like, oh, like, I don't know what to do here. And then all of a sudden, second semester hits. I'm sort of hitting my groove. I'm sort of taking a little bit of what Gillowitz style, taking a little bit of your style, and I'm trying to make it my own.
Mm-hmm.
And then, COVID hits, and then the school gets shut down. And then you've probably seen a little bit of the clips on YouTube, but I made my own Bill Nye series, like Science Time. I shrunk myself down to the size of like a breadcrumb to talk about microscopes, stuff, all that stuff. And then, after that, I think I got my own identity. I wasn't trying to be Gillowitz. I wasn't trying to be you. I was just being me. And not everyone, obviously, but a lot of my behavior issues that I had were gone now. Like, cause it was just me teaching the way and then that job, instead of teaching just math, I was teaching phys ed, math, computer science, and digital video production. And I know it was like I had like a whole studio in this brand new school with like a green screen room that had like a curved wall to it. It was awesome. And then computer science was another thing. I didn't know how to code, but I literally told like the admin saying, listen, if you want a tech program in this school, I can learn how to code, but I can't do it at a grade 12 level right now. I was like, put the coding in the grade 7 and 8 classes, and I'll do that with them and I'll learn with them. Give the high school kids, put that communication, audio, video. And then we ended up making a news series for the school. We had like kids that like had so much anxiety that they couldn't do presentations, like were anchors for this news station. And we partnered up with Shaw TV. They gave us like really cool 10-bit cameras, all these professional lights. And I was the tech guy. And I also, since it was a brand new high school, so it was a middle school and they built a high school on top of it. I got their track team to zones for the first time. And then the second year I got 3 people to provincials for the first time. So we represented, and I built the track program from ground up. They had a basketball guy and a volleyball guy, thank God. But I found my niche, and I think that's what really got. I had a passion that I wanted to share with students, and I've since moving to Calgary and stuff, I've had assignments where it was just grade 9 science, and I'm good at it, but I felt like any teacher could do this. And now when I'm dealing with right now, my assignment right now is grade 7 science, film studies, Comtech, and science 14, which is like grade 10 science, but for workplace readiness.
Okay.
So it's a lot of relationship kids. And yeah, so I think after that COVID bump, in that I've been molded by fire of COVID. Like that's what happened. It sort of woke me up. Yeah. So very long-winded answer to your question.
You get to talk about your journey and get, so they're really interesting. Yeah. That I always knew that you would do really well because like you have a big heart and that you're good dude and you just genuinely care about the well-being of others, and that was a very evident get right off the bat.
In my next assignment at the school that I'm starting in the fall, so pretty much I have 3 blocks of phys ed, and the way the school works is like every student has to be in an extracurricular. So like, and they're not saying everyone has to be athletes, but so if you're not on the track team or the basketball team or the volleyball team, you're in theater or, some sort of arts creative endeavor. And I find that really awesome because the day's extended till I think 4:45 for these kiddos. And one of the things that's going to be another aspect of my professional development, I'm expecting this to be another bump, another growth spurt. With growth spurt comes a lot of challenge and you're dealing with adversity. And you're going to laugh at this, but the biggest thing I'm worried about is not dealing with maybe complex kiddos, not trying to teach them how to do math or catch them up 2 or 3 grade levels, nothing like that. Coaching basketball.
Coaching basketball that you
that is the that is the no, because they're like, oh, like you can teach track, you can coach track and field really well. Like I have NCCP and hurdles and sprints, I could do it. But they're like middle school volleyball and middle school basketball, I'm sure I can learn it. I know the game well enough to play recreationally, but coaching it is a field that I have not been in yet. And I was wondering, do you have any tidbits of advice that's shareable or any resources you could guide me to just do the basic?
Yeah.
Right.
When you get back here until I'll spend some time, I can help you out with all that stuff. My advice is just to make basketball or volleyball fun for them. Yeah, and just have games that both a basketball and a volleyball are such brutal sports because in a volleyball who messed up, right? Yeah, somebody shakes it out my bad, like that, or they shake pass. A basketball, you can do everything right and still miss the a layup or the free throw or whatever. So it's just keeping them a positive and just saying, hey, even the best players miss almost time. So yeah, the teaching aspect you can definitely learn for sure. Just keep building that relationship with those kids, and it's just about having the fun while playing sports and get to play with your friends and get to compete and be really aggressive. You can smash a volleyball as hard as you can. I release a little bit of that anger. Yeah, all that stuff is just fun. So just keep it fun, for them, and just everything will fall in line. Then it won't be about winning and losing, right? Because that's what most people think of. They're not winning, they're having a bad season. Well, some of my best seasons were with bad teams who just grew and just competed, right? And I just had fun playing the sport, and they had fun playing for each other. So that's I really want to do that.
keep it low risk and that growth mindset, right? Like, let's get the effort up and let's improve from day, because like, I think I told my students, an analogy I do have is actually basketball. I tell them when they're struggling in science or writing in particular, they go like, I suck at writing. I'm not good at writing. Like, that's immediate label to themselves. And I go, like, okay, let's say that right now. I'm not good at basketball, but if I practice basketball, I could be better than I am today at basketball. Like, will I be LeBron James? Probably not, right? But I could be a standard deviation better than I am now if I practiced. So I'm like, do that with writing, do that with math, do that with science, do that with technology, because kids aren't as good at technology as you think they are. So I try to impose that growth mindset. So I think that's sort of the approach I'll take to when I'm coaching, and just be honest with them, like, hey, I'm learning with you guys. Like, let's do that.
Absolutely. What I get by students is I use the analogy of a performance. So let's just say you have a performance on a Friday evening, and then how do you think you would perform if you practice, like every day beforehand? Would you feel more comfortable than if you didn't practice beforehand? Right? If you just went in told there was about, like, hey, are you comfortable to practice, maybe a couple times beforehand, or do you I need to practice every day beforehand? I often like challenge them, if you're to perform on a Friday with this skill, that how much work do you I think you need to put in to perform really well at that performance?
Yeah, I've heard that before too. With I interviewed a social studies teacher who's also an amateur theater actor, and she related it to rehearsal.
There you go. Yeah.
She's like, if you didn't rehearse, man, it's gonna be rough, right? Yeah. Okay, awesome. I feel a little bit more confident with that, and like, yeah, I'll take you up on that offer. Bring you on as a mentor once again.
Absolutely.
To help me with
Yeah,
basketball.
I think I can help you out with. I'll gladly help you out. And basketball is more of my wheelhouse, I guess, right? So yeah, absolutely.
We could go for runs together if you really want to too.
Ooh, yeah, that maybe we'll see. Yeah, but yeah, I'm not opposed to it. So I'm not opposed to it.
So before I let you go, because there's a whole bunch of things that we could geek out right now. Did you see the Avengers sort of trailer with all the list of names?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I just can't wait for it.
So I just finished watching this show called Paradise on Disney Plus, and it's about a bunch of the U.S. president and like a select few people that were in an underground town after like an apocalypse. And the president, I don't know if I'm going to say his name right, but James Merson.
Yeah. Cyclops.
And I was like, oh, where? Yeah, I was like, that guy looks so familiar. I was like, no, that damn guy is Cyclops. I was like, man. And then I reminded me of how I was kind of disappointed in Deadpool and Wolverine, because I was really hoping he would come in with the blue and the yellow and just like crush it. And then as I'm watching that trailer, I see his name like scroll up. I was like, yes, like I cannot wait.
I think they might just literally bring back anyone and everyone who's played a superhero like in the past 50 years. Yeah, I can't wait.
Ian McKellen, like, man, he must push a 90 and he's like signed up for it. Like, you just must love it, man.
Absolutely.
So James Marsden, I was like, sick. Oh my God. Because like, I was really expecting him in Deadpool and Wolverine, which that was the best thing Marvel has done in so long.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How did you like it? You liked it?
They gave us fans exactly what we wanted. Them like people were like hating on a bad guy was it the built up blah 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 this storyline. Who cares if you're going to watch a movie for some sort of like storyline or writing? Get out of town. You were out there for Deadpool, a Wolverine, any and all cameos, all the R-rated jokes, every thing. It was fantastic. I had actually called out they're probably a month apart. I said, how cool would it be if they brought Chris Evans back, but they brought him back as Human Torch, and then still when he was like about to say the two words, I grabbed my friend like he's gonna say flame on. He's gonna say flame on. And he said it. I just went crazy. Like there's so many awesome moments.
You should put money on.
So many awesome moments that movie.
Yeah. Oh man. I was because I was actually expecting Johnny Storm. I was like, okay, that's probably an easy way to get it a cameo. What I was not expecting, not at all, not a tidbit trace, not a amount. I was like jaw dropped, eyes on the floor, was Wesley Snipes as Blade. I was not anticipating him to come out at all. And I was like, bro, he's back. I was like, because I thought they were remaking a Blade, and I was like, they're doing another Blade. So I'm like, there's no way they're going to like confuse audience members with having another Blade. And then I came back and I was like so pumped with that.
And also, this is how like Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes did not like each other because they're in Blade Trinity together, and they weren't speaking. You're like, there's no ways bring back Wesley Snipes. So when Blade came out, that it was Elektra. Yeah, then when Gambit came out,
yeah,
I was like, oh my goodness, that was awesome.
I love how they ripped on his accent so much. One more time, please. Like,
who's your delinquent or like the language person or whatever? That was so good.
Yeah. He's like, okay, hit me again.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. And then the whole crazy rant that Johnny Storm says, like, and he's like, I didn't say that in that post credit scene where it's just like Chris and like the juxtaposition, because Chris Evans is Captain America. He says shit once and it's like, oh my god, right? And then he's just going at it. Oh, I cried laughing.
There were just so many parts in which I was just like yelling, like, let's go, or just grabbing on people like, this is awesome. Like this, it was a fun movie to go to. Like, they hope that a Marvel just stays like, every once in a while, just give us what we want, and we will like watch it. We'll get all the merch. They'll pay you back for it. Just give us what we want every once in a while, and that was absolutely the perfect.
Yeah, and so all the fan service, and like they also like they didn't wreck Logan's story either, which I really liked. Like they gave a whole nother character, Wolverine, his story. And like, oh my god, that intro scene, like I as soon as I sat down and like bye started coming on, like I was like, yeah, okay, we're in, this is it, like this is we're going for it. Oh, and then I guess, man, because I haven't talked to you in so long, like, you know me, it's like my superhero is Spider-Man, like that is who my guy is. And then like No Way Home, like, oh, I avoided spoilers like the plague with that, like nothing, like. And then I remember like seeing like Andrew Garfield come out. I'm like biting my tongue. I'm like, oh my god, like that's insane. And I was like, okay, well, like that they probably wouldn't have enough money for like both Peter Parker. Like I don't see it happening or whatever. And then Tobey Maguire comes on. I literally like,
oh wait a second.
I was like, oh my god. It was like seeing a dead relative. Like it's like someone that you've already said goodbye to. Like, okay, like that was a cool like aspect of my life. And then like he just appears back. Oh man, like I was talking to Mark Geller, who is one of the actors in that Apple TV Severance yesterday, and we were just talking about how like some people you don't see the actor. It's performed so well and written so well that character, you have an asymmetrical relationship with a fictional character. Like it's just like that, and then like he said that was the best compliment you can ever get. So then I met Sam Raimi a couple of years ago.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I talked to him. I told him the story about, and I guess I'll tell you the story too. It was 2001, I guess. It was 2002, I guess, early 2002. and I was living in Dawson Creek, British Columbia, super north, um, in like really deep in BC. And I've been waiting for Spider-Man for years because my mom used to read articles about how it was in legal limbo because Marvel didn't really have the rights, or they sold the rights to Sony, all this stuff. Of course, me as a kid, I didn't really know what that meant, but like I was just like, oh, I'm waiting for Spider-Man. And then when Spider-Man was coming out, we were planning, because we didn't have the movies at the town we're at. We had to go to like the big city, Grand Prairie, to go see the movie. And my mom got like a hernia. She had to go to a hospital and get like surgery. Like I think it was like May 1st. So the movie came out May 3rd, 2002. And I was so like, it was devastating. And then my mom was like recovering, and she was fine, but she couldn't sit because she had that surgery, so she couldn't travel. And then my uncle and my uncle's friend, there's like, get in the truck, we're driving 3.5 hours to get you to this movie because you've been waiting for this movie. And that was the first time I watched a movie where I've experienced like pure empathy. Like it was like when Uncle Ben was dying. That was the first time, as like, I guess I was like 8 years old. Like I was like crying because Uncle Ben was dying.
Yeah.
And what a wild experience. And then I told Sam Raimi this story. I told him, I was like, this is the experience. And then me and my mom went to see Spider-Man 2 opening day, Spider-Man 3. And the only one we couldn't see is No Way Home together, but we've seen every single Spider-Man since then. And Sam told me, he's like, stories like that is the best indicator of success in our profession.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was so cool meeting
crazy.
him too. And I was
That's
also
so
like,
crazy.
yeah. I got a signed picture that I gave to my mom, and it's him saying, "To an awesome mom." It was awesome. Yeah. Last thing I want to pick your brain about, because it's just coming up April 22nd, is Andor season 2. Like, guys, have you watched Andor?
Oh yeah,
Sure you have.
absolutely. Yeah, lots.
Yeah. That's my favorite Star Wars thing that's come out in the last, forever.
A better than a Mandalorian?
I think so. I like The Mandalorian. I kind of fell off on season 3 a bit.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
But I did like I liked the storyline, what they were doing, but I felt like the episodes were a little too short sometimes. I know I'm nitpicking because it takes $1 billion and like the best people in the world to make a movie. But I did like Andor. Like I love all of them. I'll watch all of them. I loved Ahsoka. But Andor was like your Nazi Germany, but in space. Like it was like, what would 1937, 1935 Germany be like, in space?
There's also
I love.
like Star Wars without Star Wars, but it's Star Wars. Like it's in that universe. There's no the Force. There's no the lightsabers, but you know exactly what's happening in this era. Kind of thing is super cool.
My fiance, who's not into Star Wars at all, like was invested in that show.
Oh, really?
And then that's sort of my gateway drug for Star Wars. Is like I got her into that, and I was like, hey, well, why don't we watch this other one? So we watched Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And she loves Ahsoka. She was a little confused with the timeline, so I had to like really explain like when things were taking place. Yeah. But I love seeing Anakin Skywalker in his Clone Wars
that was
gear.
Amazing, right? Yeah, the shot of him like walking away, then I made a flash to this silhouette of Vader, and then a back has to be one of the greatest shots that we've seen. Star Wars.
Yeah, it gave me chills, and then that takes me back. So many people didn't like it, but I loved Obi-Wan, like the Kenobi series.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I actually am like, man, like, and if anyone ever comments on this video, I'm gonna get hate for this, but I like their fight in Obi-Wan better than I do in Episode 3.
Really? No.
Yes, I know it's. I have opinions to back it up, but like I get it.
Yeah, that's a hot
okay, it is.
Dang.
Yeah. Okay. The reason for it, is I like the idea, and this is also why I defend a lot of the sequels too a little bit, is I think a lightsaber should be heavy, like really heavy, like there has to be gravitas to it.
Mhm.
And I also enjoy the technical aspect of the lighting better in the Kenobi series, because now when I watch episode 3, there is no glow on anyone's faces to the lightsaber light.
Mhm.
And that's something J.J. Abrams added in The Force Awakens. So I really miss that. But I also love that it's a little slower, but everything's heavier. And I have a more, I don't know, because I think George Lucas is a great storyteller, but he's not a great writer a lot
Mhm.
of times. And so when I was watching the Kenobi series, everything felt heavy. The history was already established there, and Ben's like inner thought process when he's battling Vader right there, and Vader's just anger, like both their inner thought processes were so ingrained. And particularly for Vader, the previous episode ended when Vader tried to grab the
Other,
cargo ship
yeah,
and
shipping
pull it
the
down.
other
Right.
wrong one, right?
And I love that because that is Obi-Wan's brain working full tilt. Because he knows Anakin and he knows that Vader is still Anakin.
Mhm.
And that was a very Anakin move to make for Darth Vader. And it shows like there's a contrast in the flashbacks when they're training and he like catches his lightsaber and he's like, you're so invested to win, like that you forget all this other stuff, you don't know your surroundings. And Vader is by far stronger than Obi-Wan Kenobi in every aspect. In every tick you can think of, he would destroy him. But Obi-Wan Kenobi, in a sense, is a debuff to Darth Vader. It debuffs him immediately because it makes him off balance. It makes him off tilt. He's like pissed off at him. Like he can't control his anger. And so he becomes like that grungy Anakin again. Like he's like, oh, I'm powerful, arrogant, and he doesn't think things through. So I thought if all things equal in that fight, if Vader was fighting someone else of like in that same old withered Ben Kenobi set, he would have won. But he was so off tilt, he wasn't thinking properly. He was arrogant.
Yeah.
And then this is the catalyst to why I think it's the best, is when Obi-Wan is like thrown down under the rocks, and like it's so everyone thought about it, but he now does not have the high ground. Vader does, but he's like buried, and he's holding up just by the little bit of force he has, and trying to survive. And he's seeing these flashbacks, and he's hearing Anakin go, "You're my enemy," and all this stuff. It brought me back to the exact thing Anakin said to Palpatine in episode 3. He's like, what's the difference between the Sith and the Jedi? And the Jedi get their power through selflessness, through the absolute need and desire to help others. And then when you hear the voiceover like little Leia, it sort of snapped Kenobi out of thinking, I gotta defeat Vader. But it's like, no, I have to survive this to protect this child, to protect Luke. And then all of a sudden that Jedi power just amped up to 1,000. And that's what happened. And then you see the flip and like the whole, like, and I thought in terms of like payoffs, in terms of like, if you were paying attention to every little thing in Star Wars, I thought that fight was better.
Interesting. So I did, I like how when his a mask was
Yes.
that
Yeah.
how when
mention that.
they were talking and how it went from a blue to red after a while, like say Obi-Wan was chatting with him, and then he tells Anakin tells him that he killed him, and the other glow turns to red. So seeing that visually was really neat as well, because you had like a glimmer of hope that was Anakin still, but then it went to red, and like, oh dang, almost had us, almost had.
You notice,
come on.
That's the opposite side Ahsoka hit, which is really cool if you talk about Rebels.
Yeah.
But this is a thing that I've seen people argue about all the time. My take, so in that exchange of dialogue, Obi-Wan is like, I'm sorry, like, because he's guilt, right? And then he's like, breathing, wheezing. He's like, you have that blue light on his face, and he's like, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did, and that's blue. And then it switches to red afterwards and says, and now I'm going to destroy you or whatever. My take on that was Anakin releasing Kenobi from the guilt. Like, it was like a little bit of like, no, you didn't do this.
No.
I did. And that was a little bit of empathy on his side, but it didn't last too long. And like the darkness hit him again, and he went. But then other people have told me that, like, no, that's completely wrong. He was actually bragging about how he killed Anakin Skywalker. I like to think of it as the former, but I think it's up to interpretation.
Both would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, but the blue light gets me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Now a switch, like, that was just. I remember watching it and then having to rewind. I'm like, did they do that on purpose? I'm like, oh, I think they did. Really good.
Yeah. Okay. I got to get home and make supper for my fiance. But man, it was awesome chatting with you, and I loved how I got a little more insight into towards the basketball and the middle school. And it's always good to see perspectives from other teachers, and just understanding, like, everyone has like the unique experiences that you could pick and pull from. And I wanted to use this time to, I guess, say thank you almost, because I feel like I didn't really have a chance to really do it sincerely when we were working together. And because you are a pillar of my career, right? Like, you're a quintessential influence on me. So I want to say thank you. And I love that we got a chance to talk nerd shop, because that's the best part.
Absolutely. Yeah. Then we will once Steve come back as well. So that'd be awesome to do it again.
All right, man. Thank you for coming on, and I hope you have a good Friday and a restful weekend.
Thank you. It was awesome.
All right, man. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for tuning in to Professional Development with me, Mr. Drover. I hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your fellow educators. You can also connect with me on Instagram or via email to continue the conversation and share your thoughts. Well, until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a difference, both inside and outside the classroom. I'll see you in the next episode.